Hello, America, and welcome to another episode of the Ultra MK podcast, where together we are reversing the narrative. And on today's show, we're being joined by a man who has joined the fight against child trafficking and crimes against children out on the East Coast. He's in North Carolina. He's an ambassador for a nonprofit organization called Awake and Bold. He also works with the nonprofit Veterans for Child Rescue, as well as ARC, which is the Association for the Recovery of Children. I am very pleased to introduce you today to my new friend, Ray Lucian with Awake and Bold. So stick around and you're going to love this episode.
That is our obligation, to inform and alert the American people, to make certain that they possess all the facts that they need and understand them as well, the perils, the prospects, the purposes of our program, and the choices that we face.
Hello, Ray. How's it going today?
Hi, Matt. Doing great. Thank you. And thanks for not only the work that you do to get this message out there too, but also for having me on. Very, very humbled to be your
Yeah,
guest.
I am so pleased and thankful to have you on as well, sir. I know that we have been connected through divine appointments, as I say, because God is working on something major right now in America.
Yeah, yeah.
And through some patriots in Northern California at an event that I attended, we were able to network with another gal who connected me with a lady working with you with Awake and Bold, Melissa. And I'm just so super grateful that she had said, "Hey, I have a gentleman that has a great story to tell, and he's boots on the ground doing things in the arena of anti-child trafficking." And I'm just glad to meet you and bring you on the show. And I really want to kind of dig into some of your background and find out more about where you've come from and really what made you join into this fight. And
Yeah.
I've learned that you are a Navy veteran, so I just want to thank you for, serving this country and, serving overseas and doing those things. So, yeah, I'd like to start with just like maybe your upbringing and what kind of got you into joining our military.
Okay. I was I was raised in Kentucky, and I was raised in a church environment as well. That was part of our lives too. That was important to both of my parents. And so, as far back as I can remember, I've always had this. I didn't understand it then, but empathetic heart for the underserved, for those in need. That was always something that burdened me, that got my attention. Of course, I didn't understand it all then. The empathy part kind of scared me, as a kid, that I would be burdened by things that I didn't know much about, but that I would see. And you mentioned the military, so there's a lot of Navy tradition in my family. Now, going through high school, my teenage years, I fell into experimenting with drugs. Uh, that that somehow was a just a way to medicate some things in my own heart and my soul, that where I felt empty and disillusioned by some things, had some traumatic experiences as well, and that would be an escape for me. That would make things go away, and I would feel great for a temporary amount of time.
Right.
And but I would go up and down with all of that, a roller coaster ride. That would explain my just highs and lows, one right after the other. I could achieve great things, and I did, and I would be right at the edge of achieving more and then fall back down. That was a pattern for me. So I went into the Navy. I didn't think I would do very good going to college because just the way my behavior was, at
Yeah.
that time.
Kind of
And
a rebellious nature. A little bit
a
of a
little bit.
rebellious. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was the guy that would take all the dares. And so I knew I would flop out pretty quick there. And so I knew it would make my father proud to join the Navy for one. And I was just always intrigued by that. And I had an uncle that would visit us when he was on leave. I had a cousin that when he went to Vietnam, he gave me his train set, when I was a kid. So it was always a big deal to me. So very admirable. I wanted to do that. And so I was just out of high school. I was 18, just a kid still. And
Yeah.
my first deployments were NATO deployments across the Arctic Circle, like 200 miles north of Tromsø, where it was Cold War then, so you went to practice in those areas and play all the games and
Right.
beautiful place, but I wanted to go to the Pacific, the way I saw the Navy and all the movies and everything, the palm trees and the islands and,
Sure. I'm
and,
sure you wanted a
and
nice, beautiful tropical port city to
yes,
stop at. Yeah, of course.
yeah, and
Or somewhere
so
warm like the Mediterranean or something. Yeah.
yeah, and I did make it to the Mediterranean, but I was really disappointed when I saw my orders the first time, and I saw North Atlantic, and I was like, well, this is not what I had in mind.
Tell me about the vessel that you served on.
Yeah, so I was on an LPD, USS Ponce LPD 15, which is an amphibious landing. So I was part of the amphibious assault forces of the Navy, the Gator Navy, some call it. And so Marines and Navy deploy together. You deploy with expeditionary units, and you drop the Marines. They do the landings,
Hmm.
and you all work together. It was an interesting deployments there because it was done with a lot of the European allies, and so you got to see them operate too, and become friends, and the brotherhood that you create there is lifelong with some, and it's not like any other that I've ever experienced before. And still, my division, we still have a reunion that we've had for the past 7 years, and there's about 30 of us that attend that. And so, it was interesting that we had been apart for, gosh, 32 years or something like that. In our first reunion, it was like sitting down and picking up where we left off. It was nothing. It was zero effort, to just
Yeah,
link back up. And I did
that's
make it to
awesome.
did make it to the Mediterranean too, and that was beautiful. So I did get to see some beautiful places.
Yeah.
Uh, with that, we were rewarded with some great R&R and all of those deployments. Um,
What was going on then in the Middle East when you were then redeployed out to the Mediterranean? Was that the I when the Ayatollah took power there in Iran and they had
so
the
yeah,
hostages?
yeah, that was in the beginning, and
Hmm.
uh, we were actually going to take part in that initial operation, that rescue operation. It got called off. There was a bad helicopter crash. I think two helicopter crashes with Marines, I believe it was.
Hmm.
So that got called off. We got sent to. It got called off at that time. We got sent to uh, Cuba for I don't. It was called El Mariel boat lift, Cuban boat lift in '79. So we got deployed to that, and it was a huge rescue operation of Cuban refugees that were fleeing
Okay.
Cuba to come to the United States. So that's what we got put on, and that was an eye opener. And I have to say that had some to do with the direction I would go with my life. I didn't know how, but I knew that I wanted to be involved in something that would intervene in people's lives who were hopeless, desperate. Uh, that's the only way I can describe it: hopeless and desperate and in need. And if somebody did not intervene, their lives were over. But I still had no idea that would ever navigate and play out in my life. And I was still off and on dealing with addiction and just some inner turmoil, in my own life. When I left the Navy, um, I was actually doing pretty good. When I left, what I did not expect is the transition back into civilian life, and not because I had terrible and traumatic experiences in my active duty, uh, but I just felt I was very disillusioned. I didn't feel like I belonged. I felt like there was no place out here for me, and
Did you
I
end
was
up back in
lost.
Kentucky, or did you,
I
after
did,
getting out?
yeah.
Okay.
I went back to where I was raised at. I lived with my parents for about a year. My plan was to do that and then take a career path and march
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And but I so the pain I had inside and the turmoil in my mind was indescribable. And a friend of mine approached me one time. He said, "I've known you for a long time. I don't know what's wrong, but here, I want you to take this." He put it in my hand, and it was a small bag of powder cocaine and some pills. Take the pills to go to sleep. Take the cocaine to wake up. And that was a magic formula for me, so I thought. You know, uh, the first hit of that cocaine, I felt perfect. Only way I know how to describe it, I felt perfect, and I thought this is how God wants me to feel. This is what I need right here. This is the way God meant for people to feel because everything just disappeared
Hmm.
till it wore off. Of course, then it all comes back.
Right.
And
And then you know it's
um,
not from God, it's from the enemy, it's from Satan. He
absolutely,
he just
yeah,
puts, yeah, he gives us temporary satisfaction to mask the deeper rooted issues that, yep, I know what you mean.
yeah. Um, so, but I would just still get as much out of that as I could. I ended up going to Texas, Houston area, and to work. I had a good job there too. I lost it because of cocaine,
Hmm.
and so I saw the money that people were making on cocaine as well. It was in the 80s. Let me back up. You had asked about too in the military, then in the Mediterranean, Middle East. We were deployed there when Anwar Sadat was assassinated, actually. Um, so that was other things going on. They shot down Gaddafi's jets, at that time too. But so I saw the money that they were making. This was the 80s, and the drug lords, and I mean, this stuff was it was unreal
Oh
how big
yeah.
it was there. And I went to work for a boating magazine actually in advertising sales, and so I was exposed to that industry in a big way because it happened through the boating industry a lot
Oh yeah. Well,
there.
that's how Colombia and Pablo Escobar, I mean, that's how they
Yeah,
were able to kind of initially get into Florida, Miami, uh,
yeah,
the parts of Texas. I mean, they went in through the Gulf and through the Atlantic. Yep.
yeah, yeah. And it was actually my hope to be able to hook up with people like that. That's how deep I wanted to go.
Hmm.
Um, and but God had another plan. Now, listen, I have a my mother. She'll soon be 89. She's still with us, and she was my prayer warrior. And um, she, I could be honest with her, and she knew what I was doing. And she always told me that whenever I'm ready, God is waiting for me, and He will always be there when I am ready. I knew what I needed to go back to. I knew who I needed to turn my life back over to. And uh, but getting there was just it was unreal. The enemy had a grip on me, and I had actually made arrangements to smuggle uh, cocaine through some rental sailboats that would turn into a business in the Cayman Islands. I'd met this person at a trade show in the boating industry, and fortunately, a hurricane warning was directed at the Cayman Islands. That all got canceled, and it was around that time that I also hit my bottom. I checked myself into a psychiatric treatment hospital, and that was the hardest thing I believe because looking back, I know I was struggling with depression for one. I didn't know how to identify that. They didn't talk about that in the early '80s.
Hmm.
Um, it was you go to the loony bin or the nut house, and all that. That's how people referred to all of that. And but I had enough, and
Hmm.
God was showing me because I escaped a few situations that would have been bad for me, and uh, So I knew this was it. I didn't want to live this way. I didn't want to die that way either. I didn't think I could live without it. And if I had to, I would just rather die. That's how I was thinking. Um, so I went in there. That was 1986, and I never looked back. Uh, it would take about another year to 2 years before I would make a conscious surrender to Christ
Yeah.
uh, in my life. And so when I did that, I actually ended up going through going to seminary and graduating from a seminary. I went into youth ministry, and I knew that my calling was to now here I am in a spot that I really desired, even as a young, very young man,
Hmm.
to make a difference in people's lives somehow. And so now I'm on a church staff. I'm reaching youth, and my heart grew more and more to kids on the edge, kids that the church was not seeing, not reaching, kids that won't show up to church, that sort of thing. And then God started sending those kids to, to me where
Yeah.
I was at. I mean, that would
Right.
happen. And it was unreal. One pastor even said, if anybody ever hires you and I've got to give them a reference, I'm going to tell them get ready for the police to show up because that's the kind of kids that are going to be coming, and you better get ready. So, and because we literally would have to have police, had police a couple of times that would show up during a youth meeting needing some information on something
Sure.
or looking for somebody.
Yeah.
And uh, but that was my heart. And fortunately, I had a group of volunteers too that had the same heartbeat. And uh, we would go on to partner with a guy in this camp uh, that he was doing called I'm Accepted Camp. IA camp is what it was called. And they this was in the Appalachia area of Virginia and Tennessee, and they would just pass out flyers in the underserved areas. You didn't know who was going to show up or how many at all.
Hmm.
And the first pickup truck that pulled in there were five boys that jumped out the back of the pickup truck, and they had their pillowcases were stuffed with their clothes for the week, and each of them had a skateboard. So and then there were several other children that would show up.
Was this in the 90s? Like what was the time frame for this situation?
1995.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's when I
yeah,
started skateboarding. So I mean,
yeah,
America, all the young boys wanted to skateboard.
yeah,
Tony Hawk was
yeah.
coming out, everybody wanted to get
Yes,
involved. Yep.
yeah, yeah. And uh, so one of those boys really grabbed my heart that week, and it was and I'll tell you one thing that really touched my heart about him. When it was time to leave, now I had taken some kids there from where I was at. I was in Wake Forest, North Carolina, and we were going into neighborhoods, even that police that wouldn't go back into. That's one reason they stopped by and wanted to talk to us one time too. They wanted to know how we were going in there, not having any trouble. And we had no way to explain it. We felt like this is what God wanted us to do, and we just went.
Right.
We didn't bother anybody, and actually, the drug dealers and stuff that were there, they talked to us. They told us they respected what we were doing because they don't want kids to end up like they are.
Yeah.
And but they did make it clear to mind our
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
And so we did. We were there for the purpose, and that's what we focused on. And so one of those kids I took uh, when the camp was over to get ready to leave. Now these kids were poor, man. I mean, dirt poor. I remember a lot of them talked about having cereal to eat 3 times a day. No,
Wow.
and they were getting cafeteria food there basically. Wasn't bad. But I remember the first night, one of them saying in the bunkhouse, they were all just kind of talking. I remember him saying, "Hey man, can you believe we get to eat like this every day?" And so that's the kind of camp that was. That's what
Yeah.
I belonged in places like that. I felt like I was right where I needed to be,
Yeah.
and I had not felt that really ever that much before. And uh, so they were leaving, and this kid Jason walks over to one of the kids that I brought with me and handed him that skateboard. And they had these were good skateboards, and you were a skateboarder, so you know how much money goes into putting those things together.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
they're not cheap.
yeah, no, and they taught me about that, and I was just blown
Mm-hmm.
away, man. How my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I just thought a skateboard, get a skateboard for $20 or something. That's not the
Yeah,
case.
yeah. No,
And
a good skateboard back then was still over 120 bucks, 150 bucks,
yeah,
depending on which one you wanted.
yes,
Yeah,
and they were good.
yeah,
And the thing that intrigued me about skateboarding the much, if you were going to be good at it, you had to get hurt.
that's right. You had to face your fears and you had to take some bumps, bruises, and broken bones sometimes.
Yeah, that impressed me so much. It was like there's
Mm-hmm.
no way to be good at this without risk, without injury, and they keep
Mm-hmm.
going, and they would keep going, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I thought there's something inside these kids that a lot of people don't have.
That's right.
And but Jason handed that skateboard off to him. Well, a few weeks went by, and one thing I had learned about Jason, he had five stepfathers. He was on his fifth stepdad. He was just 14 years old. Uh, I was told that he had come from that it was a very abusive background. I didn't know the details of it yet, but I got a phone call from the director of that camp. Said I got to lay something on you, man, and I'm going to need an answer pretty quick. So he explained to me that Jason had had enough finally, and went into a fit of rage, and he wanted some payback. He's 14 years old. They called the police, and he was going to be sent to juvenile lockup somewhere in another part of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Billy knew the judge. And matter of fact, that camp still goes on today. Now, this is in 1995. That camp's still rocking today. I mean, it's grown. Uh, Junior, grade school kids, junior high, high school. It's huge. And he asked the judge that if he could find somebody to take Jason in, convince the mother to sign rights over power of attorney, whatever, would he be willing to release him into the custody of that person? And the judge agreed to that if he could find somebody. So I was the person Billy called. And so I just said, okay, how much time do I have to answer? He said, a few minutes, really. And so I didn't even have to think about it. I didn't. I said yes. And 2 or 3 days later, went and picked him up. So
Awesome.
I've got this 14-year-old boy, and who was on his way to juvenile jail, for who knows how long. But I saw his heart. I knew that what I said yes to was not the person that was being prosecuted.
Right.
And yeah, so went and got him.
Did you
And I was
find when you were building common ground with him, did you find stories that were similar from your stories that brought you guys together to bond? So he trusted you?
Yes, yeah, totally. God dang, we bonded really fast and we bonded easy. Um, now I had to now listen. He endured a level of abuse, molestation,
Mm-hmm.
grooming.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Honestly, I had never heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you after I had him, after he was there for a couple of months, I didn't go too deep in. I didn't press him to share bad stories, or anything else that went on with him. We just got to know each other. We spent time together. We spent time in the woods. We went outside.
Right.
Um, I I told him that, man, we're going to do this kind of boot camp style. I'm going to strip you down of your identity that's been
Mm-hmm.
placed upon you,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to rebuild, man. So yeah, I took a lot of things from him. All the gory, nasty video games that were just violent, demonic.
Yeah.
Uh, and I talked to him about that. Uh, he complied with everything. He wasn't happy about everything, but he still said, if this is for my own good. One thing that he believed, that I was committed to him, and that I loved him. I was married at that time too. He knew we loved him,
Mm-hmm.
and that we had no bad intentions for him whatsoever. Man, just dig in and follow. We'll get through this together.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing, I guess maybe it was the skateboard thing, but he was really skinny. And he looked malnourished. But he wore these really baggy pants. He had like a 20, maybe a 28-inch waist at best. And I noticed his pants were 36 waist. And
That was the 90s back then, Ray. That's what the kids
yeah,
were wearing. Yeah.
yeah, he was
You'd be
sagging.
lucky to have
Yeah,
a good belt. You had to have a good belt back then.
yes. And so everything would fall off of him, you know.
Yeah,
And so, uh, and part of that was like we're going to build from the inside out too. We're going to work on our appearance.
right,
You know, he would never
right.
look people in the eye, when we would introduce him or anything like that. And that was, I knew, okay, this kid's been through a lot. He won't look adults, especially adult men, in the eye at all. And he did not like being introduced to strange adult men that he didn't know. And so I would get to know why, as time went on. But he knew we were committed to him. And so he complied to that. All the dress stuff went away once the girls at church started telling him how nice he looked, So never had to battle that one again.
Yeah,
And
good. Got him some
yeah,
confidence. Yeah.
yeah. And so here was a turning point with our relationship. I gave him a sheet of paper, and I just said, we're just going to do one side of this paper today. I want you to tell me about the Jason I don't know. And he said, what do you mean? I said, what, just tell me about Jason. Tell me what you want me to know. That's all. Listen, the first line on that paper, the first line was, he tied me to a chair.
Hmm.
I've never had anybody tell me that before. And I've got this boy in my home. I have no idea what to say to him. That was one of his stepfathers. And that stepfather had convinced his mother to not make Jason go to school that day. He said, I want to take him whitewater. I'd take him out on a canoe, or they would go on a raft, on the river or something like that. And that's not what happened. He got tied to a chair and he got beaten and abused. You know,
Hmm.
what do you do with that, man? I've never heard anybody tell me anything like that. I've never read a story like that. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Uh, all I knew to do uh, was to give him a hug.
Yeah.
That was all I knew to do.
Yeah.
And we held each other, man, and we both just cried. It seemed like forever, but
Hmm.
that was a key turning point with us. It bonded us,
Hmm.
and we would continue to grow together. And there was one time that he got tensed up about something. I don't even remember what it was really. Um, and always we had the agreement that if he ever wanted to leave, he could, because if he didn't want to be there, if you don't want to be here, it's not going to be a good fit for any of us, you know. And you can go back, or if you ever, raise a hand to my wife, then that may be grounds for you to have to leave.
Yeah.
And never had to worry about that with him. And
So it sounded like he was just looking for people who wanted to love him and love him through the
just love.
situation.
Yes, that's what he desired. That was his greatest need, and he
Hmm.
absorbed every bit of it. Even when he was tense at that moment, I said, I don't know what you're all tensed up about. I said, but I think that you're used to, if there's ever conflict or we're going to have a talk, you're used to that not being a good experience. I'm telling you, this is going to be a good experience. Gave him another hug, and after that point, he would start following me around. You get a little puppy dog and they follow you around right on your
Yeah.
heels and everything, no matter what you're
Yep.
doing, where you're going in the house. He would follow me around like that. And and that was strange. This was a tough kid too. He wasn't afraid of much.
Yeah.
And uh, I got ready to I got ready to turn around and say to him, man, quit following me around everywhere I go. I really did. And God spoke to me in my spirit, however you want to call it. But I know that it was him. He said, don't you say a word. That's how you should be following me, and that's how you need to lead him. So shut up. I didn't say a word ever. And
Yeah.
uh, so he stayed with us till he was almost 19 years old. And he would move out on his own. He's 43 now. He's very successful, doing a great job and work, had a great work ethic, and still does. And we're
Awesome.
we're still tight as ever, and we stay in touch. So I knew through Jason, I want to get now. He was molested by a church pastor who went to prison, and he got dealt with in prison.
Hmm.
So we like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
And so I knew at some point, somehow, but I had no idea how I was going to do this to get involved in intervening in kids' lives, just like Jason. But he's the only one I knew of at that point. During the youth ministry, even while Jason was still with us, I reached out. I reached a couple of gang kids in a mainstream gang in the Raleigh-Durham area who started coming to our youth, and they ended up and seemed to have a good radical transformation, in Christ and all of that. But this guy's name was Ray. He was a big boy, about 6'6", and he had a commanding presence about him too. And he had just turned 18, and he started recruiting kids, the younger kids in our youth, to the gang. And I didn't know that. He did it right, and I didn't recognize it because I'd never been involved in that before either. This was all new to me. And so one of the girls, a 13-year-old girl, ran away was from her home, who was in our youth ministry, and they had not seen her in several days. Uh, I got a tip from somebody that said Ray had her, and they were going to be taking her to Atlanta to sell her. Now, this would have been probably 95. This was probably like 1997 when this was going on.
Hmm.
And uh, it gave me a tip of where the last stop was going to be before they left the Raleigh Durham area to go there. I just jumped on it quickly as I could, contacted her family, and I contacted the police and told them what was happening. I got there right before the police did. I tried to block Ray. He did have the girl with her. I tried to block him, and he was actually going to try to run over me. He threw that thing in gear, nailed the gas, or didn't nail the gas. He revved it up like he was going to come at me. But the police pulled up about that time. He's blocked. He puts it in reverse and takes off in reverse as fast as he could. But he didn't know he was going. He was on a dead end road in that direction. And so police got him stopped. He started busting his windshield out with his fist and gave me some gang signs, that I later was told that by his brother, because his brother ended up showing up there too, and that he put a hit on me and I needed to take it serious. The young lady ran towards me, of course, got her in my arms. She looked awful. She had been terribly abused, beaten, bruised up, just awful. And ended up getting her into House of Hope in Clayton, North Carolina. And she graduated from there. She's doing well today. She's about 40 years old and has 3 children, married, and having a great life. And she made contact with me still, even years later. And so Ray was arrested, of course. A few months later, I'm in my driveway. Car pulls up. I see Ray get out, but I also see 3 young ladies get out too, and they were part of our youth ministry, a good part of our youth ministry. They were influencers. They had impact on others. So I thought this is interesting. Maybe this is okay. So he approached me. Said, "I'm not here for any trouble. I want to tell you uh, that I love you." He said, "I want to thank you for saving my life." And so Ray went on to grow up as a man, be married. He
Hmm.
was in Atlanta. He had a son that was a great high school player, football player in Atlanta. I don't know what happened. He had stayed clean for years, but he overdosed about 5 years ago, and he died as a result of that. And my biggest regret was, he would get in touch with me and want me to come and go to church with him and his family. I never made it, to do that. And so these are the kind of circumstances, that experiences I was having, that would, okay, I want to go deeper into attacking this somehow. But
Hmm.
I didn't know about human trafficking. I still hadn't heard the words human trafficking before that I can remember, uh, in grooming and all of that. Um, so not until I was in my mid 50s did I decide, okay, I started focusing on how do I want to finish my life, not how was I, my vision was how am I going to finish?
Hmm.
How can I have the most impact before I leave this earth? And I believe that's how God was calling me to
Hmm.
serve Him, serve others, make a difference. I narrowed it down to those 3 things. And one of my passions was reaching kids like Jason, intervening in lives like Ray, the young lady that had run away that ended up with him. And so I just did a search on human trafficking, abuse, all of that. Started searching. I came across Veterans for Child Rescue, Craig Sawyer, and he was also a Navy veteran. SEAL team veteran, and just and a very impressive resume. Mine's nothing like that. And, um, so I just thought, well, okay, I'll do something on weekends. Maybe I can pass out brochures at community events or something like that. I went through their vetting process, the volunteer, his volunteer coordinator and executive director at that time is who I communicated with directly. They were awesome, encouraging, and I was actually nervous. I don't know if I can pass their vetting process, with the background I've had and all of that. And
Hmm.
it was not a big deal. And so the more I learned, the more I started to learn and listen and go onto their and watch Craig and the videos. By the way, they have a movie called Contraland on Vets for Child Rescue website. That's I would recommend people watching as well. It's a big eye opener. And um, but I knew that passing out brochures wasn't going to be enough. And so, how do I go deeper? Well, Craig did this interview with Baz El-Baz with the Association for the Recovery of Children, and Boz was starting to do a training course where you go and learn how to run your own operations, investigations, set up your own nonprofit, be boots on the ground, everything from A to Z. If you want to get deeper into this, if you're serious and want to do it, this is the course to take. There's none like it. There still isn't. Um, I struggled and I struggled with whether I should go to this thing or not. I don't know what I'm doing, and so I just did it. I just did it. I went to Estes Park, Colorado. I was the first one to show up in the morning. I met Boz. We got to talk personally, and he was also a co-actor on the Blacklist, and I love the Blacklist. That didn't dawn on me right away. But
Oh,
anyway,
was
it was
that was a TV show, wasn't it?
Netflix series, man. It's awesome.
Netflix.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a really good one. I don't say it because it's him and that I know him. I mean, it's just a great series. Yeah, and
I'll be darned. I know him too. I've met him a couple of times, but I knew
yeah,
that he did some acting.
yeah,
So,
yeah. He was a co-actor. Yeah, in that, and
wow.
he was very encouraging. And honestly, man, I was I was afraid I was going to look like a fool doing this course. 'Cause I have no clue what I'm doing now. This first course he had. Now you can imagine the network of people that he has
Hmm.
and influence. His
Hmm.
area of influence is huge. A lot of these, it was full of Special Forces veterans, Special Forces active duty. I mean, from every Special Forces branch there was.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
elite people. And
Well, he's been at
uh,
this for quite a while. I was looking up
yeah,
the association, the website, Association for Recovery of Children, and they've been at this, I believe, since 1993.
that's correct.
Hmm.
I'd say longer than any other organizations out there,
Yeah.
and not just and not at a light level any at all. I mean, they are very active and
Hmm.
they are boots on the ground like nobody else there is, really.
Hmm.
And so really, I just felt pretty out of place there. There were women there too that were doing amazing work. So this was crazy to see. What was most encouraging is just how willing people that were there. There are people there from three-letter agencies too that they have helping teach these courses. Just how willing they were to help you to be successful if this is what you wanted to do. And uh, the course was finished, and my biggest prayer through that whole thing is, God, please don't make me look like a fool coming up here and taking this course for nothing. Really, that was my prayer. Yeah,
Well, I love
yeah,
how honest and transparent you are because I'm really praying that this episode can really resonate with a lot of parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles
yeah,
and people who are great Americans, great people who actually will love to embark into this realm because it's so highly needed based on the information we have about since the last administration with the open borders, we were getting low numbers of there being 350,000 missing children
yeah.
across the border. When I dug a lot deeper, we're close to 1 million missing children in this country, um, since the last administration. So the
Yeah,
demand for good people to step up and to get involved and to get trained and to find what God's calling them to do is so highly needed right now.
it is. And Yeah, there's not enough of us. We need everybody. We need everybody that's just willing to do something. They don't even have to do what I'm doing. They don't have to take that course. Now, if you want to learn to be boots on the ground, have a direct impact like that, yes, you need to go take that course. You know, and it's worth it. Look, we're fighting a multi-billion dollar criminal enterprise, multi-billion as we know it, probably
Hmm.
a whole lot more than that, more than likely.
Hmm.
That's what we're able to track. Uh,
Hmm.
and so, that course was over, and I'm like, okay, well, what do I do now? It was a cool certificate,
Hmm.
you know, and I met a lot of great people. I mean, even these people, these elite people were sharing their contact information with me, and everything. And so I get back to North Carolina. I'm working with a nonprofit crisis ministry, and one of the volunteers there was a member of a church that was going to be hosting an event with Awaken Bold. First time I've heard of Awaken Bold. And I had shared with her what I had just come back from. She tells Awaken Bold about it. Awaken Bold calls me and says, would you like to set up a table at our event? I said, yes. But I have no clue what I'm doing. I don't have a table. I don't have anything. But I knew I should say yes. So I
Yeah.
got back in touch with Vets for Child Rescue, said, hey, this, they want me to show up at this event. Can you send me some stuff? They
Yeah.
sent
Some
me
brochures or something. Yeah.
yeah, sent me brochures, a nice banner to put up on the table. They hooked me up. I mean, big time. So
Awesome.
it was great. So I'm ready to go to do this, and so Boz was going to be the headline speaker there, and so he's been advertised, as he is and as his experience. Uh, Citadel graduate. I mean, he's a CIA retired, Marine Corps counterterrorism expert, co-actor on the blacklist. I mean, look at that resume. Trust me, this doesn't come close to anything like that. Well, it ended up he was not going to be able to make it. Something more important came up, and his wife asked me if I would be willing to stand in and speak where he's scheduled to speak. I mean, my first reaction was absolutely not. They're looking for Boz El Boz, not me.
Yeah.
And so I ended up doing it. It worked out fine because the people that were there were committed to the mission and to learn more about how they could be involved as well. That led to me getting opportunities to do trainings, awareness trainings that Awaken Bold would pay me to do and schedule, and they went great. It also opened up the door where I started getting tips, phone calls about uh, possible trafficking
Situations.
and
Yeah.
situations in the area,
Hmm.
which led to some things getting dealt with too. So listen, I say all of this not to put attention on myself, but if you when you commit to this, it's a calling first of all. You don't know if it is, but when you do, I mean, God is will open the doors, and these situations literally started falling in my lap, and I dealt with them as much as I could, doing the intel as much as I could, and most importantly, those people involved with ARC, Boz, those guys, they said, we'll help you. You call us. You need us. You call us. And they are serious about that. And they have helped me. Craig, Veterans for Child Rescue, the same way. And, you got to be a team. You can't go rogue on this. You can get somebody hurt, killed, maybe yourself,
Hmm.
because it is risky. It's dangerous work.
Hmm.
And, but when you have the leadership that you will gain as a result, for instance, going through that course, you are going to be okay. They know how to lead you. They know how to step. I made a big mistake one time uh, watching a place on my own. That was a hotel, and so I decided to video, and I got painted. They saw me videoing, and they were in a van, and uh, I had dark tinted windows. I didn't think they'd be able to see it. Well, they did, and I could tell they fired that van up, and they had that look. They're coming after me, so I had to nail it. And they chased me, and I went around the curve. There was a slow coming up on a curve, and a pickup truck was going really slow, and I just went around it. I made a blind curve. I couldn't tell if anything was coming. Fortunately, nothing was. That was stupid on my part. So I learned from that, and but if I was investigating something, before I would make a move, I would get advice. And first I would call, one of those agencies and be in touch with somebody. Boz, for instance, the first case that I ever had was a friend of mine I was in the Navy with. He was in law enforcement. He had a 13-year-old girl in his car. They just got her from Texas. He was in Alabama. She had been trafficked for about a year. It started when she was 12 because she ran away from the home she was in. And Boz had me in touch with a detective in about 15 minutes that actually used to be work in that area years ago. And our goal was to be able to intervene before Child Protective Services did. Child Protective Services beat us to everything. They ended up placing that girl back in the place she ran away from. So no telling what I don't know what her life is like today. But that was the very first one. That's how quick they can operate. You have access to teams that can go do rescues that can deploy pretty quick. And so if you're serious about doing this, you will become a part of a network of people that will make sure that you are successful, with what you're doing. You just have to be careful, methodical about it. Every step is laid out how to run an operation, every single step. You go through mock trainings of situations, and you have to present
Yeah.
to Boz and
Yeah.
Tina
Right.
how you are handling this, and you get critiqued. Most everybody gets critiqued pretty good because you're not going to get it right the first time.
Sure.
And but they're so helpful and encouraging. Craig has uh, hooked me up with a detective too that I've been able to use for and no cost out of my pocket, to run some information down. And even this is 5 years since I've been at that training. That when I've gone to three of them. I'll go to as many as I can. But there's always something new, because you're always learning. This trafficking is always advancing and moving, and they stay up with it. And um, so last night from another podcast, somebody contacted me and they came across a trafficking ring going on out west. And I won't, say the details any of that here, but I've got some pretty valuable information that I will forward on to another another group that
Hmm.
that can be boots on the ground in that area. And so you may be used as an information link to be able to
Right.
pass things on, and that's been a large part too, of what I've done. I have been able to help place seven different women into safe housing um, in this area. Three of them actually graduated from it. 82%, let's, not 80%, yeah, 80 to 82% of victims will still return to their pimp twice, on average, before they leave for good. And so that happens. You don't be discouraged by that. That's just how much control, how much mind control, brainwashing, and dependency that they create, with them. So you can't be discouraged by that. Not all the situations, work out great. Some of them fall apart before you can really do anything, and that's okay. I develop relationships among the homeless community. Some they're good information for me. I get out and spend some time with them. Um, I speak with some of the ladies that are on the street and get to know them a little bit. I'd be amazed uh, what a number two combo meal from a fast food restaurant can do to open up a conversation. You
Yeah.
know, or
Right.
when's the last time you had something to eat? You
Yeah.
know, uh, that's been the most effective question I've ever asked any of them. And of course, they end up going back to work, going back to their pimp and all of that. But I've been able to feed them just for a moment and to have a conversation with them and maybe develop the level of trust. It takes a long time to do that. It's not going to happen in a few conversations. I've
You
been
have to
talking.
build trust over time, right? You have
You
to
do,
build some trust.
yeah, yeah. There's still a few that I talk to. I've been talking to for 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, and
What's
uh,
keeping them in it?
uh,
Is it fear? Is it say their security and safety? Is it the unknown of not knowing if they were to leave that lifestyle that there's nowhere for them to go? What information have you gathered?
yeah, it's all of those, and one of the big ones too is addiction. They get them addicted and keep them supplied with their
Hmm.
addiction. They're not giving them any money, And listen, a pimp with four good ladies uh, that are pretty, that are young,
Hmm.
that pimp is making $1 million a year from four of them.
Hmm.
That's not uncommon. tax-free money.
Mm.
They aren't getting any of that. And so people that think that these ladies are out there doing this because they want to, I've never met one that wanted to be out there.
They get
And
trapped in it. Yeah.
they're trapped in it. And control, the mind control, sextortion. They take pictures of them having sex with their
Mm.
partners or whatever, or with them. Uh, you know, you're going to be with me until I'm done with you, which is usually about an average of 7 years. These will go to everybody you know.
Mm.
And so that's one way as well. One lady that we had a rescue plan for, her pimp was dropping her off at a methadone clinic, and he would drop her off and leave. So we set everything up. As far as I know, the only people that she talked to was a lady from a safe house, myself. That was it. And we arranged everything with, of course, I contacted a few people to help with this. She called uh, that day when we were going to be doing this and said to call it off. He found out he had beat her, and one way that he controlled her as well, he paid her mother's mortgage on her home as well, and so he had. That's just how they operate. So
Yeah. They
still
kind
never
of
been able. Yeah,
Yeah, they kind of
yeah,
infiltrate the life of that girl within that
yeah,
system to try
yeah,
to control all of her relatives around her too, probably because he looks
yeah,
at him like a commodity. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so never heard from her again,
Mm.
and so that's how much. I mean, it's ugly. It's an ugly world.
Yeah.
For them. It's beyond anything that I ever thought that I would ever experience or be involved in, at all. And um, my heart is not. Uh, it doesn't stop me from continuing into that. So a lot of these things can just fall apart, but you just have to keep going and not look at it as such as I heard Boss say recently that you may not be able to change the world, but when you intervene in a person's life at this level, or one child, adult, whatever it is, girls, boys, men, women, you have changed their world forever. And so that's how I look at it. If just one, Boswell emphasized this too in the training, and Craig even too, even just one. If everybody that gets involved could reach just one, and there are other ways to do this. Safe housing. Can your home be used as a safe place for one of them to stay until we get them in therapy? I have a friend that provides that for me. Lives up on a very secluded place on top of a mountain, gated, beautiful, self-sustaining, everything. Nobody's coming in there without being on video or trying to get through that gate without notice. You know, this particular lady had escaped from a cult. She was trafficked around the world and had a young daughter as well. She put her up for a few weeks until we could make arrangements for her to go where she was going to be safe. Her and her daughter have been in an undisclosed place overseas now, living a very happy life. Just talked with her recently as well, and the relationships that you develop through this are just amazing.
Yeah.
And so you can be involved at that level too. Safe houses don't have to be homes that are holding 30 to 50, whatever, victims or survivors that we want to call them. When we get to that point, we want to see them become survivors. That's how we look at that. Not victims, survivors. Um, and that's great if somebody has, a safe house or home like that. We have Transformation Village here in Asheville, probably close to between 150, 200 women there. 90% of them have been trafficked before, and that's a wonderful program. Some graduate from that. That's where I have helped some women get into. Even one ended up getting hired there, then hired with the nonprofit that started that place as well, doing great, very successful. I've sat down and had dinner with their family, their whole family,
Wow.
and and
What's
this
the
this
name of
lady,
what's the name of that place there in Asheville?
Transformation Village.
Transformation Village. So folks, if you're
Yeah,
watching this in North Carolina, there are places if you really want to plug into Ray is talking about. I really,
Yeah,
we're gonna segue here just a moment and towards the upcoming event this weekend called
yeah,
put on by Awaken Bold. I think it's really important to kind of
yeah.
to introduce people to all the speakers that are going to be coming into North Carolina at that venue. And if you can't make it, obviously, I encourage people to, you can log in online to see it. You can also follow my podcast on Rumble. We're going to be live streaming all weekend on Rumble through the Ultra MK podcast. You'll want to subscribe and watch it if you want to from our podcast sources
Great.
on Rumble. Um, but Ray, what I'd like to do now is that I'm just going to go ahead and share screen with you, and we're going to kind of
Sure.
just go through this upcoming event. And then we're going to also show people the Awaken Bold website, which
Yeah,
and you tell me. I mean, if there's a person out there watching this episode who feels like, God's calling me to do something bigger than myself, and
yeah.
children just mean the world to me, and I want to do anything I can do in my capacity. Where do you recommend they first start if they're inquiring into becoming a rescuer?
Well, take an event like this, for example. Got some great speakers there uh, uh, who have been a part of the survivor stories uh, that will have great impact on you. You want to learn about, you want to hear from them. Survivors can speak of this at an angle nobody else can, unless they were a survivor. Um, Rescuers uh, that are represented here as well. Educators, people that are getting involved at some level. So you can see you can hear from people that are involved at different levels, not just boots on the ground doing rescues, but in other areas of their lives. They're using their trade or their profession as a platform too, for influence. So attending events like this is is important. I would start there to learn as much as you can. Go online to Vets for Child Rescue, Association for the Recovery of Children, Awaken Bold, and look at information there. Learn as much as you can. And one thing I would encourage is study the signs of somebody that may be a victim of trafficking or that's going on. If you study those signs enough, you're going to see it. You're going to recognize it. And if you know that you want to get involved at a deeper level, like boots on the ground, take the course from Association for the Recovery of Children. There's none like it. I can't recommend emphasize that enough. And there's also a link to purchase tickets on the flyer there. A way to donate as well. That may be an area that may be a way that you can get involved too financially. It's listen, we are fighting a multi-billion-dollar criminal enterprise. Uh, like I said, will be estimated 152 billion. USA is the largest purchaser, and 50, of that 152 billion, approximately 50 billion or a little better than that comes from the United States. And so, you may be able to help Awaken Bold move to the next level to staff uh, people that can do more. But
Yeah,
it's what it takes. It takes money.
right,
When Boz or Craig puts together a rescue team for that means people have to deploy. It's plane tickets. There's transportation. There's hotel rentals. It's expensive. But what's that child worth? What is that person worth? You
right.
know, to you. I mean, really can't put a price,
Right.
on that.
Yeah, exactly. They're priceless. They're precious. They're
Yeah.
amazing creations of God. And
Yes.
we have to step up as children of God to protect the other children, And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I pulled up the flyer here for this weekend's event. I'm just going to read it here to the audience. Be a part of the solution to prevent and end child trafficking
Yeah.
by Awake and Bold, and you are invited to our powerful town hall community event to inspire, motivate, and educate our community on protecting children and strengthening families. We're recording this, folks, on March 4th, 2026. It is coming up this weekend, March
Yeah.
7th and March 8th, starting Saturday morning at 9 a.m., going to 6, and then again on Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2. If you can jump on a flight last minute, you got extra flyer miles, and you want to buy tickets, Visit awakeandbold.org. There's a QR code also that you can scan here. The featuring guest speakers include Kathy O'Brien, which is an amazing woman. I call her a national
Yeah.
treasure
Yeah.
because she's been on my show a few times already to get to tell her story about how she was trafficked by the political elite class here in
Yeah.
America, even former presidents of the United States. And she's a survivor of the early parts of the MK Ultra program and mind control program that was rolled out upon our society. So I encourage you to come and see Kathy O'Brien, Juan O'Savin, another amazing insider patriot who has his finger on the pulse of what's been going on, not just in America with this stuff, but overseas. He's an amazing guy, Juan O'Savin. Jason and Emily Cisneros is going to be there. The Moms for Liberty, Buncombe County is going to have representatives there. Elena Higgins, a great friend of mine, Mary Flynn O'Neill, she's with the America's Future organization and General Flynn's sister, an amazing woman, a woman of God. Sheila Dale is going to be there and many more. So you want to join them and be a part of the solution. And they also would like to thank their sponsors, the Horseshoe Farm. It looks like that's the venue location in Hendersonville, North Carolina. The Welcome Wellness is another sponsor. Bart Emerson Lee Interiors and Skin Ovation Advanced Aesthetics, which I assume there are local companies to the
Yeah.
North Carolina region. So folks support their businesses because they're supporting this amazing event as well. I think it's super important. Ray, this would be a great place for people to start just to hear more stories from some of these speakers,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. It is. And there have been people that have, because of attending these events, it clarified for them too. Okay, this is the lane that I would want to run in. This is how I want to do it. Because you're getting such a variety of feedback from survivors, from people that are doing rescues, people that are involved um, and supporting financially, everything. So you're getting, all in one spot, that information. And
That's
that's hard to
awesome.
get. Yeah, you have to do a lot of research online to go and get all of that, in different places. But here, it's in one spot. It's one weekend. You're not going to regret attending this event. And if you need a retreat at the same time, this is a beautiful place too. Hendersonville's a beautiful place to be. And
Yeah, it's a great way to get away, maybe out of town for
yeah,
the weekend and learn
yeah,
something, be
yeah,
inspired, be
yeah,
motivated to make a difference in your
yes,
community. And so,
yeah,
yeah, if you're watching this in North Carolina and it's within vicinity, I encourage you to go and support them. Their website is awakeandbold.org, so you can visit
yeah.
their website. You can get more information also about the upcoming event at donating or maybe picking up some tickets for the event. I would like to share this 1 minute and 27-second video I stumbled upon when I was watching when I was looking at their website. This is a good video. I'm just going to share here.
This keeps me in traffic and trapped in a world that you don't think exists. You get those that they trusted to teach them and guide them through life. These people are sick. I look at these pictures of innocent children, not all of them taken, but all of them missed. And I just been praying that somebody's coming to save them and make them feel happy and bliss. You do not need a cape or superpowers to be a hero. Let's save our children. Let's spread awareness. See me, I'm willing to step up and speak on behalf of the millions of people who fight in this war of child trafficking, the rich and the poor, of all races selling kids in the store. In y'all's faces, I can't take it no more. Your future depends on us. Right here in this nation, we love and endure. They're hungry and cold, some sleep on the floor. They keep their head down, not allowed to look forward. Some never felt love, they only felt force. What if we could find them all and bring them home and heal them? Could we come together? Could we work together? Could we save together now? Save our children.
Wow. What a great video to kind of
Yeah,
bring people up to speed as fast as they can with the
yeah,
reality and the statistics of how many children out there need our help.
yeah.
So yeah, no, this is going to be a great event. Like I said, folks, we're going to be live streaming this weekend on the Ultra MK podcast on the Rumble platform. Um, you're going to be, learning about how you can get involved from this event. And let me also bring up here the Vets for Child Rescue. I
Mhm.
I just had Craig Sawyer on my show, and we were showing
Oh,
this the
great.
other day. But for folks that want to
Yeah.
check out that episode, you can find that on the Ultra MK podcast. Let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and share screen again. Let's see. So yeah, you can also check out the Vets for, that's the number 4, childrescue.org. Another great location to get information about how to join the fight and who to support. This is that movie documentary called
Yeah. Hmm.
Contraland that you were talking about. So that's a good one for people to watch to kind of understand the full scope and magnitude of the problem here in America. So that's really good. And then let me show people the other website here I think is important. Let's see. Let's go to, yep, so recoveryofchildren.org. Yeah, is another place where you can get a 6-day training course, and they host them in different parts of the United States. I believe I saw a bunch coming up in, I think it was Texas, if I remember right. But all of
Yes.
the
Yeah.
But yeah, all
That's
of
the most
the
recent, I think. Yeah.
yeah, okay. And yeah, it talks about all of the different meetings that were going to be held throughout the process for the certification. Um, let's see. Looks like there's some endorsements here um, coming out of the White House. So yeah, there's a lot of information here, folks, you want to check out. But the best place to start, like we were saying, is try to tune in to this weekend's event in North Carolina from Awake and Bold. And you can buy tickets online at their website, awakeandbold.org, for this weekend's event. And yeah, I think there's no better time than now just to get the information, gather the information, ask God, where do I fit in to this whole situation, to this whole problem? You know your strengths and what you could bring to the table, and there's so much information to learn. But Ray, it's been great having you on the show for the first time, my friend. Thank you for sharing your story of where you've come from, but how you're a great example of how God can use anybody, no matter what your background is, no matter what you've gone through, that he knows your heart. He knows there's no time with him. There's no timeline. Like he knows if he's going to use you, you will know when God wants to use you for something. So
Thank you. Yeah.
you're a great testimonial to that, Ray.
No, thank you so much, Matt. I really appreciate you take, taking the time to. But yeah, uh, God can take anything and make something out of it.
That's right. That's right. Well, Ray, I'd love to catch up with you in future weeks and see how everything is going on your end.
Sure.
And I know we have to keep putting these videos and podcasts together and share more stories because the public is awakening to what's going on ever since the Epstein file drops, where you have high profile people involved and crimes against children. That's obviously catching their attention. And then when they soon realize that it's been happening in their own backyard, in their own cities and towns, that it's everywhere, but you have to know what to look for, right? So
Yes.
so awesome.
Yep.
Ray, thank you so much again for joining the Ultra MK podcast, where together we are reversing the narrative. You have a blessed week,
Amen.
sir.